Good evening, and sorry my back is to y'all. Good evening and welcome to the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority Board of Directors meeting. We're here in beautiful Ypsilanti at the RAC. It is Thursday, April 16th, and we do have a quorum present. We'll begin right off with approval of the agenda. I do have some adjustments to make, if you'll be patient with me. First off, on item number 5.3, environmental sustainability policy, we are going to remove that with your permission. That was a suggestion by, or no, 5.4, pardon me, 5.4 is going to be removed if you allow it. Also, under 5.3, it reviews Mr. Carpenter, who will be the presenter on that one. And then also, one moment. 4.2, ownership linkage task force versus committee, we are also going to, I'd like to have removed from the agenda tonight, just in the interest of time, seeing how many wonderful people we have in the gallery, and I want to be able to give everyone their time. So thank you so much. Would someone like to make a motion with those changes? So moved by Rich, seconded by Jesse. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And that did pass unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda is public comment. Right now, I want to let everyone, because I feel really rude sitting back here with my talk to you. So we welcome everyone. We're so glad that you're here. Matters of operational concern will be referred to our CEO for follow-up considerations. All persons wishing to make a public comment, please state your name for the record when you get up to the podium, and each speaker will receive a maximum of 3 minutes. If you're in person, I hope that everyone had an opportunity to sign up on the sign-in sheet. If you didn't, if you could go to the front and they will get your names from you. Also, for multiple attendees, did everyone who signed up, I noticed that some sign-ups didn't have a check mark. Does that mean that you didn't want to speak? Or if I call your name, okay. And then that's everything that I had. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll get started. The first person for public comment, the podium is right up at the front there in front of the drop-down screen. If you would, again, please go up there, state your name for the board. And the first person on the list is Dirk Mayhew.
I'm Dirk Mayhew from Ann Arbor. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I know people usually come in either with a complaint or an ask, so let me start by saying you guys do a great job of starting my kids to the hospital to work regularly, and it's a comfort to me that they've got a reliable transportation. But I do have an ask. The ask is free bus on election day. I don't waste your time lecturing on history or the symbolism of people helping people to the polls. I will say this though, I took advantage of your free rides on the weekend with my AADL card. That was really cool. But if you asked me to choose between that and 1 day of free buses on election day, hands down, and I think most people would agree. Cost, thank you, Mr. Carpenter, for replying so quickly to the email. We can identify the cost free, not free. I'll say this though, I had a large organization already offered us to defray that cost. So if we can nail it down, there's organizations. Hey, that's the ask. Free bus on election day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Major. Next, we have Lisa Brown.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing me to speak here tonight. My name is Lisa Brown, and I have worked for TheRide for 34 years. And I wanted to provide a candid and reasonable update on the current state of negotiations between the union and the company. At this stage, discussions are not progressing in a productive or constructive manner. While both parties remain engaged in the process, there are substantial gaps on several key issues, and meaningful movement toward a mutually accepted agreement has been limited. As a result, frustration is growing among union representatives and the workforce they represent. This situation carries real and and escalating risks. Prolonged or stalled negotiations threaten employee morale, operational stability, and trust in leadership. The workforce is paying close attention to how these negotiations are handled, and perceptions about the company's commitment to good faith bargaining are forming quickly. It is important for the board to be aware that the current trajectory makes resolution more difficult with each passing week. Without renewed focus, clearer direction, and a willingness to reassess positions on critical matters, the likelihood of deeper conflict increases. Such outcomes would have consequences that extend well beyond the bargaining table and could impact the company's long-term interests. I am raising these concerns now because I believe there remains an opportunity to change course. With appropriate encouragement and guidance from leadership, progress is still possible. The union has indicated a continued willingness to reach a fair and sustainable agreement, but trust and momentum are fragile and should not be taken for granted. I respectfully urge the board to take an active interest in the status of these negotiations and to consider what steps may be necessary to support a constructive path forward, one that balances the company's strategic goals and the legitimate concerns of its employees. Thank you for your time and for giving this matter the seriousness it deserves.
Yeah.
Next, we have Danny S.
Hi everyone, my name is Danny. I live here in Ypsilanti. I'm here today to advocate for AATA to include study on the effect of free fares in its upcoming fare study. I believe it's very important to make bus transit as accessible as possible, and having seen over a dozen other transit authorities around the country implement free fares and seeing how that increased ridership, decreased carbon emissions, decreased conflicts between riders and workers. Yeah, I think that's something that we should really try to have for our transit authority. I can also say, in my experience working with the homeless population in town, I've seen how bus fare can be a huge barrier for our unhoused neighbors to get access to shelter, to food, jobs, to the pathway to abandoned housing, right? It's part of this reinforcing cycle, and making free fares would do a lot to help them and everyone else who would help spread it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Luca. I'm a resident of Ypsilanti, and I'm here on behalf of the Ypsilanti IWW Workers Union. We stand in solidarity with the bus drivers and maintenance workers union and echo their call for a better contract and to be treated with dignity and respect from management. Bus drivers are essential to this city. When I ride the bus to work, I always see that it's filled with my fellow restaurant workers, baristas, grocery store workers, nurses, janitors, construction workers, and so many other essential workers. Bus drivers are the backbone of Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. They are the essential workers that other essential workers depend on to get to work every day. So to hear that negotiations with management have stalled, to hear that our bus drivers have been working without a contract for 2 weeks and counting, tells me that management doesn't really understand how important and invaluable of a service that these bus drivers provide to the city every day. It tells me, to quote Ted Grant, that an activist in the British labor movement, that management has forgotten that not a wheel turns, not a phone rings, not a light bulb shines without the kind permission of the working class. Treat our city's bus drivers with respect, get to the bargaining table, and give them the dignity and the contract that they deserve. I'm also here to speak in favor of fare-free buses. As I said earlier, so many of my fellow food workers depend on the bus every day to get to work. And so many of us already are living paycheck to paycheck. We shouldn't have to spend our meager starvation wages on the bus every day just to get to the job that pays us a starvation wage. We cannot forget also that our unhoused neighbors also depend on the bus to get around every day, to access food and shelter, to access medical care, to get to work. The list goes on. No one should have to stress about how they're going to get to these places, especially when fares are only 6% of the bus's revenue, and half of that is paid by the university and other agencies. Individuals like myself and my neighbors only pay 3% of the bus's budget for fares. It's still possible to get rid of them. Many cities have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Stevie Bolton. I'm a frequent walk rider and restaurant worker in Ann Arbor, and I live here in Dipsey. I've used the Go Pass, my previous place of employment, and that's been really an amazing thing to use. So I will use that in October. It'd also just be great if we could all just walk onto the bus and have to not even dealing with the fare machine at all. And I'm in favor of the free fare that's being proposed. I just want to say that they should negotiate. You guys are going to negotiate with the transport union, and without the bus drivers, there is no TheRide.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. My name is Greg Woodring. I'm a resident of Ypsilanti. I'm here in solidarity with the transport union, and I also advocate for continued study and progress towards fare-free rides. We are blessed in this county to be a shining example of public transit in America. However, it's no secret that public transit in America is a sad state of affairs. We're one of only very few counties in the entire country where more than 5% of our population commutes to work. That is a great, that is something that we should be proud of and pat ourselves on the back that we've created a system that is working at least at that level. However, it also means that we have an obligation here to show how public transit can move us past a automobile, private car dependent economy and lifestyle. Free fares will provide so much ease of mind and ease of use to people trying to get to work. It will convince people to make that transition. Ultimately, public transit is only going to work if people find it more convenient than commuting with their own vehicles, and free fares are a huge way to get there. In addition, the ride will not work at all without its bus drivers. The drivers deserve a fair contract negotiated in good faith at a reasonable pace. It is monumentally important that we treat our workers with respect in this county, because ultimately, if the ride is to shine as an example, they are the ones that are shining. Thank you.
Hi, Montgomery.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. My name is John Montgomery. I'm a resident of Ann Arbor, and I work for AAATA. I'm a driver. I've driven bus here for more than the past 14 years. Until earlier this month, I've always worked under a contract between AATA and TWU. There is a misconception that union contracts divide the workplace, but it's not true. They actually reinforce community values. They democratize the workplace. They give us a powerful sense of job security and even pride in what we do. But our contract did expire more than 15 days ago, and now we're working without them. And this is new to me. I've never experienced this before here, because our negotiations have never gone this slowly or poorly before, to my knowledge. And working without a contract is unsettling, it is a bit scary. And if you ask any of my coworkers how they are feeling right now, you will understand. I worked here when we had contracts with a 2-tier wage set up, and then we had a contract, but it did cause division. Now we don't have a contract, but this crisis is bringing us together as a union to learn and to grow and to show our solidarity. And I'm proud of people for that. And I'm glad to be here. I know also that the community values the services that everyone in this room helps in some way to provide. And one of the things I love best about my job is being part of the community of riders and helping people get around and live fuller lives. I also know that the quality of our services is directly connected to the standards of working class life that the contract protects. Higher wages, basic health care, and the right to collective bargaining, just to name a few. So I'm proud to stand here tonight with others and support the union bargaining team. And I want to say on their behalf that they need the other side of the table to bargain in good faith, and focus and determination on a peer-to-peer basis. We need you, the other side of the table, and this body to help us improve our contract. Because just like the service itself needs to be continually improved, things like new and more comfortable, more frequent service, new, more comfortable buses, more frequent service, or dedicated bus lanes throughout town, so does our contract. We, the mechanics and maintenance workers and call takers, we're not like the actual bus. You don't just replace us when we get old. We're actually getting better. Not old, every day. And we're providing a service that gets better every day. And we need a contract that gets better, that improves our positions, not just keeps us going until we drop. And improved contract upgrades like comprehensive health care and a cost of living allowance will be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Em. I'm a resident of Ann Arbor, and unsurprising, probably, I'm also here with all these amazing people to talk about supporting the union for a fair contract and what I've learned about cities that have gone fair free. I first came to a board meeting in the fall thinking about the problems with fair deal and how much it underserves that population. I have a fair deal card and how hard it is to maintain and use and all these struggles. And it was really cool how TheRide listened to that. But we did more research and we learned that fares are 6% of your revenue. That's bonkers. The amount of infrastructure to have something at the point of fares to maintain 6% seems kind of ridiculous, inefficient at best, and a little heinous at worst for the amount of people it keeps off the bus. And then learning that other cities have seen this and that even Boston is piloting free fares on some routes. DC is working on getting free fares. Richmond, Virginia has had free fares for like 6 years now. Learning all this has made me wonder, what could TheRide do? TheRide is already really great. What more can we do to actually reach this point? And then I learned you all are doing a fare study, and I was really excited. I was a little bummed when I learned the union had been informed of the fare study, but it's cool that they're here to hear about it now. And then I learned the fare study's not looking into free fare, and I was extra bummed. This seems like the perfect opportunity to learn the questions people have been asking, to think what a pilot program can look like, and actually make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sim?
Hi, I'm Sam. I came to speak in favor of free fares, but once I heard that the bus drivers union was going to be here, I also am here in full solidarity with them. Yeah, I'm also a food worker, and I I take the bus pretty much every day to work. I have to take the 104 and then I take the 61. And I work outside of the no pass zone, so I am paying the bus fare every day. And it really sucks to go to work to get paid $15 an hour and then pay at least $3 a day to get anywhere. But yeah, I wanted to talk about Ground Cover News. Actually, in the past few editions, has had articles endorsing a free fare in Washtenaw County, and I just wanted to pull some quotes from the article and also leave it with y'all. Yeah, zero fare is becoming a national topic, said Ashley Potter, communications manager with the Greater Richmond Transportation Company. In Richmond, bus fare income totaled $8 million a year pre-COVID, according to Potter. Backing out the $1.2 million cost of collecting and managing fares, so like the machines, and then I think like all the infrastructure and labor that goes into the collection of fares. The agency has pegged the cost of fare-free service at $6.8 million per year in a $108 million operation. Corporate contributions, on-bus advertising, and individual donations have combined to cover the cost of not charging fares, Potter said. Without minimizing the money and its importance, it is a small portion of what needs to go into operating the bus as a whole. And so I think if a city like Richmond can do it, we definitely can. There's like so much enthusiasm. This is like one of the easiest things to talk to people about, because if you, like the number of conversations I've had, just like, oh yeah, I'm going to this meeting to talk about free fares. Like pretty much everybody is in favor of a free fare because of how really like life-changing it would be for people. And I think if Ann Arbor and Ipsy want to like, yeah, be leaders in whatever transportation way, this is a great opportunity. So I'll leave a copy for y'all to read. And yeah, again, just y'all should negotiate with the bus workers. And yeah, we love the bus, and we just want it to be the best that it can be. So, thank you.
All right.
Carolyn?
Carolyn, I'm a resident of Ypsilanti. I feel that there's been many great points that have been said already about the fair, so I won't echo them too much, but I guess just would like to emphasize that yeah, it is a very opportune time with the Triple HTA doing this fair study and free fair becoming a logical evolution of what the bus. I think there's many like views represented across like Washtenaw County, or many people in Washtenaw County are voicing like what they want, and the employees are also voicing what they want, and we just ask that you listen.
Sharon, and I apologize if I can't remember the right into your last name.
I'm actually not speaking.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Next on the list then is Alex Lee. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm a resident of Ypsilanti and a frequent rider of the bus. And I'm here first to speak in solidarity with the transport union. The ride simply does not work without its workers. They deserve a fair contract that's negotiated in a timely manner. You owe this to them. It is unacceptable, as Kai was saying, that this is the first time in 14 or more years that they have had to work without a contract. I'm also here to speak in support of free fare. From talking to my friends and neighbors, I have heard almost universal support for free fare. It seems right now like you don't want to conduct a survey for support for free fares because you already know the answer you're going to get. If the board continues to stall in negotiations, and refuses to even consider a free fare, it will be left in the dust compared to dozens of other cities around the country. The future of public transportation relies on a strong foundation of support from the community. This is what the community wants. It relies on the foundation of a strong workers union and their willingness to work. You all need to support a free fare and continue to negotiate with the union in a timely manner. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Adrian. I am here, first of all, to support the union in their fight for a fair contract. And second, to say that free fares are the future of our bus system. You have heard some amazing points tonight, like that fares are 6% of your revenue. And thinking about the comparison to what someone's personal budget is taken up by a fare. It's unbelievable to make that comparison in my head. The things that we go through to get people bus tokens in this community are outrageous. It is such an effort, it is such a fight constantly to make sure that we can connect community members with the fare that they need for their essential daily tasks. This is a justice issue most of all. The people who are most impacted by that $3 are not people who have a lot of other options. If you have seen the recent County Opportunity Index, you know that you are in an extremely low opportunity area of our county. And to connect people with opportunities, we need to get them on the bus. It is entirely unreasonable to me that you will not even examine this possibility, which I see as an inevitability for a just and sustainable future in Washtenaw County. There is just simply no other option but to move towards this that I see for the bus, for the environment, and for the people. So please take strong action in support of free fares and of just contracts for our union. Justice delayed is justice denied. Thank you. Chad. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Sorry about that.
Matt Weiser, the other side of the border here on Gibson Township, beyond Depot. And happy to have the opportunity here. I'm coming here with three hats. One is as a longtime rider while I was working in Ann Arbor. Most days I park my bike on the rack and take it off at the other end. Just this week, jumped on the bus with my bike to go to the fitness center from nearby here. And so it's a reminder to me just how important buses are and how comfortable and is, particularly with the quality of the drivers who are always happy to help. Here also is a part of the Washington Regional Organizing Coalition, Faith and Labor Community Organizing Project that helped to pass the villages that particularly to bring service to this end of the county. Relearning kind of where things are at, but I see, as other speakers have said, that finding ways of eliminating the need for fares is the next justice issue that we need to be facing as a county and as a transit authority. And finally, as a union member, but we're Federation of Government Employees, gets me to the table with other FLCR unions, including PWU, here today and just want to add my voice to the need for good negotiations and quick resolution here. I'm retired now, but my federal employee colleagues have had their union contract ripped away by the federal government. We're going to get it back eventually, but right now, that feeling of working without a contract resonates with me. We don't need that. It's not something we need to repeat. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm a resident of Ann Arbor, and I'm here to advocate for the inclusion of the study on the impact of free fares. I am also a food worker. I take the floor almost every day. And I have the privilege right now of taking the bus for free because of my M card, and I don't think I can afford transportation without that. I firmly believe free bus fares shouldn't just be allocated to those whose schools and institutions can pay for it. Access to free transportation is a public safety issue and can make a difference in public health and human security. This study and the decision to enact free fares could be the difference between someone being able to see a doctor, put food on the table, get to work, get to class, get to a job interview, or reach someone in need. Additionally, I spent this past winter working at the warming center, which provides indoor shelter for the unhoused population in Ann Arbor and Washtenaw County. And bus tokens were a constant need that we couldn't keep up with and a barrier to folks being able to access warm shelter during the winter. And that does not have to be the case. Additionally, as someone who takes the bus and interacts with the incredible drivers almost every day, I also want to stand in solidarity with the bus driver union. I was deeply appalled to learn that they're currently working without a contract. And I want to echo people's comments that the bus drivers are truly the backbone of Ann Arbor. It's whatever city they are helping people get to where they need to go. Yeah, so I wanted to express support for the bus driver union as well.
Hey everyone, my name is Rachel. I work at the district library 1 block away from the FC Transit Center, and I've had many other jobs, all of which TheRide has helped me get to. I'm so grateful to live in a county with this good public transportation. Our culture has shaped the world, that breaks my heart, and the more people we can get onto buses, the better for the environment, for our souls, for our happiness. That said, I'm really proud of everything everybody has said here about how it would be really helpful if fare were free. The bus drivers are the essential workers that other essential workers depend on, and they need good working conditions and dignity. And I think about what it takes to be a bus driver, to diffuse conflicts, to be alone on a bus at night. They do a lot for everybody. Working at the library, we started a pilot program since October where we've been purchasing and handing out free tokens and day passes to people, and learning how much the need for them is really opened my eyes. We've distributed 1,500 tokens, almost 300 day passes in the last 6 months, and a lot of the people that we're distributing to them to have no homes, no jobs, and no income. So before I got $1.50 for each fare, didn't seem like that much for people with no income and no homes. It is a lot. So thank you for considering free fare. Please support the drivers and also consider adding Ypsilanti to the Go Pass program. Thank you. Thank you.
Chamberlain?
My name is Alva. I'm a resident of Ypsilanti, and I was walking down the sidewalk, and some of these amazing speakers invited me to come speak. So thank you. This is my first time in Riverside. So, but I'm really impressed with the amount amount of appreciation that our bus workers have heard tonight. The bus for me is prohibitive between costs and hours, and the way that we can make it more economical, still has lots of hoops and doesn't always work out well because of we have to go to the library, which is amazing. I'm so glad that they added that, but to be able to navigate the different places you have to go to be filled, especially when you don't have a lot of money, it could help so many people, just to even give them hope that they might be able to accomplish some of these things. Let's see what else. I know Detroit, one of the issues that has been brought to my attention, in addition to all the amazing things that people have said, is that a lot of kids that live in Ypsilanti would be able to access better education opportunities, and that we might actually even retain more students in school if they were able to use public transportation. My understanding is that Detroit is inclusive after grade school children or youth at least. I don't know. I'm so happy that everybody cares so much about our bus.
Melody?
Hello, I'm here to speak for in solidarity with the bus drivers as well as on adding free fares to the fare study. I didn't even know about the bus drivers working with a contract until today, and I just wanted to say, every interaction I have with them has always been positive, they've always been really supportive, and they deserve a fair contract, and they deserve it now. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the fare study. Specifically, I wanted to talk about adding free fare to the study, or fare free to the study, because it is economically feasible, it is not a new thing at all, and it is just what is best for riders and for the community. So it's economically feasible because it is 6% of your budget, and I'm sure with a in-depth study, you could find a way to make up that 6%. I know Salt Lake City has done creative things with advertising. I know that we potentially do things like naming bus stops after people. I'm sure there are plenty of people in Ann Arbor who want to have something named after them. I'm sure in Ypsilanti as well. And then, of course, even grants at the state level, even if it's just for a pilot program for a year, that would mean a huge thing for our community. Next, it's not a new thing. As other people have mentioned, there's lots of cities out there. Let me just add a few that are closer to us in size range. There's Chapel Hill, North Carolina. There's Cashville, Utah, and Missoula, Montana. All places that have a similar ridership to us that have managed to do free fares. And then also, I just wanted to say that this is what is best for riders and for our community. I was lucky enough in college that when I was working 2 jobs, the college paid for my fare, and I was able to make it through college living because I could get to those 2 jobs on the ride. That should not just be a privilege for college students. That should be accessible to everyone. So please add free fares to your study.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is TheRide Simmons. I'm in Ypsilanti. I'll just start with saying that when my kid was young, my kid is now 9. When she was a young one, she really saw the bus and the bus drivers like superheroes. It'd be like some of her earliest words, bus and city bus, school bus designation was a big conversation topic for us. My aunt was a bus driver when we lived in Cleveland. When I moved here, after coming from big cities, Chicago, Cleveland, Boston, I was surprised that to know, and I guess thankful that this area that I'm in here is some of the best public transit in the whole state of Michigan. And so I think of this as really an opportunity to take a next step to grow ridership and investment. I know there's other conversations around things like bus lanes and Washtenaw, which I would definitely advocate for, if someone used to get stuck coming back, down. And thinking about like, well, all these people that sit in cars do so why? If we actually have a bus system that they would want to come on, maybe that would actually not only help to get rid of the congestion for everyone else, but really think about making public transit the great equalizer that it really is, in terms of thinking about who rides the bus and what would happen if different folks were riding the bus as well, how that would help with routes and things of that sort. Also, other benefits of just less people driving under the influence. I'm a person, I actually don't know how to drive, y'all, so I only rely on my feet, my bike, and the bus. And I find myself in danger oftentimes by people in cars, or cars that are really probably unsafe to be on roads, but because people don't feel like there's other options that really get them where they need to go, then they tend to drive those cars. I think about the different kinds of partnerships with employers that could happen to help them in terms of thinking about the free fare study, and whether that, thinking that that's something that would be important to look at. And thinking about, I know there's lots of conversations around public safety that's happening all the time and around buses and things of that sort. But I think about that one of the greatest ways for safety is for people to have jobs and for them to be able to get to their jobs in a reliable fashion. And employers look for that too. And so being able to count on the bus, I think that is great. And then also just thinking about, this is in terms of supporting the driver union, happy drivers hit potholes less harshly. So let us all say thank you.
So much, everyone. That concludes our public comment. Announcements. I do have one general announcement. Chris Allen is not here with us this evening, but this would have been his last board meeting. He's chosen not to re-up his appointment, and we are actively, or we may have identified someone. We'll know more next month. So, Chris, if you're watching, thank you so much for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
I'm sorry, we did have someone.
Oh, we had someone online?
Apologies. I apologize. Oh, they're back up. Sorry.
With everyone's indulgence, we will go back to public comment and catch the person who is online.
Did you notice that I was over there? So Tim Hall, and you are unmuted.
What's the name? Oh, Tim. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, this is Tim Hall. I live in Ann Arbor. I'm calling basically about the Nixon Road project and AAATA's response to that. Actually, I found out that, this Nixon Road closing is going to happen. It's going to happen like starting March 30th. And basically, there's going to be no alternative for the people who live out in like Traver Ridge and like close to like the Traverwood Library. That basically they would say, okay, walk a mile, whether that be up to Green Road or down to Kroger's. And presented like no alternative, like a shuttle or something like that to try to capture those riders. And also that we got no idea as to like how long this is going to last. I know it has to do with the construction, but I just wish they would do try to do better when they do major closures like this. So basically take away all bus stops within a mile with a few days notice. And yeah, it just wasn't great. I was not happy when I found out. And I'm hoping that yeah, this doesn't essentially last for several months where, yeah, right now it's like such a long walk to a bus stop. And yeah, so I was calling basically to comment on that. And I will say I heard all the comments about the like free fares and stuff. I will say if you're gonna study that, study also like what you could do with the money that was lost for fares and what it would cost to upgrade the fare system and do it in a cost benefit because yeah, I mean if it comes down to free fares, everyone wants free fares, but if it comes down to better weekend service or free fares, that changes things. So yeah, I just wanted to bring up that, and I hope I could hear something regarding a Nixon situation rather than oh you're gonna have to walk down there for 4 months. All right, thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Tim. No more? Sorry about that, everyone. All right, now we will go ahead and move on. Were there any other general announcements? Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Would anyone like to enter a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mike, and seconded by Sumi. All those in favor? And that passed unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Normally we would be going into closed session right now, but we for gallery, it's not really people, we're not able to. So I'm going to go ahead and ask that we move closed session down to just after the last public comment. Is everybody, I'd like to make a motion. Would anybody like to second? Seconded by Julie. All those in favor, raise your hands. Thank you, everyone, for that. Moving on, we'll go on to the ownership linkage task force 4.1, and that's Mr. Rich Chapman.
Good evening, everyone. I don't actually have anything new to report, but I do appreciate that the public was here today because one of our roles for this task force is, of course, to learn about values of different ownership. So we got a lot of great feedback today on quite a bit of different values that we have to consider, and that's all I have.
Any questions for Rich? Seeing none, we did agree to move 4.2 to the next board meeting. For those of you who weren't here when we approved the agenda, we will now move on to our annual plan of work, and that is on page 21 of the board packet. So we've been looking at our annual plan of work, came through the board last month and hit all the committees. The recommendations are here in your packet. And I'm wondering, I believe, Matt, everything that was discussed in committee has been added to this chart. Any additions that they may have had?
I will look to Deb and my colleagues. I wasn't present for the committee meetings this last month, but I just confirmed that any updates from this last month made it into this.
Yes. Yep. So looking at your the attachment here on page 23, does anybody have any questions about what is on there? Any changes? Yes, Mike.
I don't know if the decision was made someplace. We had a logical recommendation put up under the policy work plans. Total purpose is active and additional services. Was under education, we talked about we should go under this plan rather than education. And I don't know.
What was the name of that again, please?
Total purposes on taxes and additional services, which is now listed under education. We thought it should be moved under work plan policy.
I think it was put under education first to see if the board had an appetite after they received information to make it a policy. It certainly go in both places or.
Anyway, that was the recommendation.
Oh, okay. What would the board like to discuss what I just suggested under topics for board education number 2, the third bullet point is owner preferences, taxes, and additional services. The finance committee had recommended to receive that as a policy topic or decision rather than an educational rating. Yes, Justin.
Since looks like that's something that the CEO suggested for consolidation. Can you speak to what your thinking was with that?
Of course. Please.
Oh, thank you. Under item 2 in board education millage consideration preparation, that was my attempt to sort of pull together the various pieces I had heard from board members expressing interest in learning about. I felt, and I may or may not be correct, that it was in the context of a decision about millage in the near future. It was not expressed to me, and you guys have the latitude to change it, whether you wanted to make a decision on policy regarding taxes. You do have one already that gives you sole right to set tax rates, so that's there. And I think the other one, additional services, if memory serves, that was a question about how do owners feel about increasing the service level? You may recall the long-range plan that was approved in 22. We had one big millage increase and increased services. The next millage also in that plan foresees another smaller millage increase for additional services. So this was intended first to educate you, to maybe as a reminder and an opportunity to discuss. And you certainly can add either of those things to a policy debate at any time, whether today or after you hear on the.
Yes, Justin.
I think having heard that, I think I personally like this in education simply just because I don't feel like we as a board have identified a need for that policy yet, but I feel like that conversation could draw that out. But if we put it on our topic for work, then you have to talk about it. Bring that out. So I guess I would like the opportunity to learn more before committing to that as a something I'm working on.
Any other thoughts? Yes, Rich.
I agree with Justin. Stuff that when we're planning to do these things that are going to discuss, but I'm wondering if we can just put in parentheses organize. I don't want it to get dropped from a policy standpoint, and just even the status, just say the future. Because I don't think we have our future. Like I thought we used to have like a future listing in here, and I'm not seeing that. So I think having it both places makes sense, but I agree that it's not something that I think we're prepared to talk about in 2026, but I would like it to be something that we consider for 2027.
To be fair, under bullet point number 4 on the work plan, it does say FYI millage decision likely in 2027. So all of those, anything that we learn in education is certainly would fall under that bullet point or that number under work plan. Yes, Mr. Smith.
If I might, just from a timeline perspective, it might ease that concern. My hope is, sincere hope is, to be bringing some of these materials under that education item very soon. Millage vote would be 2027, but we would actually make decisions this year and early next year. So we collectively have been preparing for that to provide you with some initial consideration pretty soon, probably next 60, 90 days. So just want to put that out there. It will not get dropped. It's on the front burner already. Not boiling over yet. But,
I believe, and I certainly welcome comments from other members of the finance committee. I believe that was the timing fact that the decision had to be made really 126 because it's 27. That's the millage rate. That, I think, was the primary reason of these.
Sure, if I might, just for everyone's, because we haven't discussed millage timing in several years. That is going to be one part of the education we provide everyone with. For some of you who weren't here the last time we did this. The timing of millages for a transit authority under Act 55, which is us, we can only go once a calendar year. And if we were to lose an election in 2028, and our current millage expires in 29, if we were to lose in 28, 29 would be too late, even May, to avoid a serious cash flow disruption problem. So we could go in 28, but 27 seems like a more safer option, which is what we did last year. We went to 20, or last time we went to 22, which was actually kind of like 18 months before we needed to. That is ultimately your decision, of course, the timing of that. We just make recommendations. So that is why our intent had been to bring you information on this in the next, as I said, 60, 90 days, so that you could make a decision on the overall thing, probably this calendar year. Ballot language, which is something, again, that must be approved by the board, which takes the millage rate. That probably will not need to be approved by you until, I guess, March or May of 27 for inclusion in the August or November, if you prefer, ballot. We do have to do it months in advance to get it to the county clerk, to get it printed, and all that sort of stuff. So the timeline is we would start the discussions ideally this year a little bit, like chew on it. I'll give you a recommendation to consider. Hopefully we would come to some sort of resolution by the end of the year. If not, we have a little bit of time in the beginning of 27, but by maybe it's March, then you would have to approve formal language to go to the county clerk for inclusion. So we have quite a bit of time, and it is time to bring this information to you.
Yeah, I guess my personal opinion is just kind of ignore it. It's here. I think the most important thing is it's someplace that we're going to be addressing very soon. But I think there's some specific comments that you made. Or maybe I'm thinking of somebody.
I think I was also thinking about the OLTF.
Oh, okay.
Which is on it, which, continues to be kind of bumped on our agenda, but I don't know if it needs to be on the list then because it's been on the agenda, so I'm agnostic about that as long, again, as long as we're doing it. I think the other suggestion was me just reflecting like what I was.
Georgia, did you have anything to add?
So Mike is,
Happy either way, actually. You have it in mind if you were to address it.
well, it is under education, and we can always move it up into work plan, but it's already got a placeholder under work plan, so it would not be forgotten, which I hear is a great concern to you, but it's a concern I think for all of us, and I appreciate you bringing it. So we leave it the way it is with the placeholder, and you'll be all right? Okay, sounds good. And yes, Julie.
Oh, well, can I just actually about the whether, the task force or committee conversation, it's not anywhere here. And I don't know if we need to add that to policy just to reflect like the work that we're doing.
It was on the agenda for this evening.
Right.
And we moved it because we had such a.
Oh, yeah, I'm not, I totally.
So we
understand.
will be addressing it next month, so I don't know that it needs to.
Okay.
Be put on here because it's already an agenda. Okay, but we can if you want to.
As long as it gets, we don't like need the gold stars.
Yeah, no, I think it was important to move the goalpost a little bit to our agenda, just because we wanted to be able to hear.
Of course.
No, but I appreciate that. Any other feedback on what's on? Yes, Justin.
In terms of
the priority, just thinking about timing, with it sounds like the fair study is scheduled to begin before that we would be starting millage conversations. Yeah, I guess maybe that's a
No.
question.
One thing, if I might. The timing with which we deliver, particularly the education items, I would appreciate some flexibility on your part. I think some of them probably naturally will be the most urgent ones. Probably millage decision would come first, or at least initiating the discussions about it before we're able to present fair scope for discussion. Simply because of some staff bandwidth issues we're having right now. And we seem to be very busy with certain meetings for a long time. So I would imagine this would probably be millage, local funding, fair study, and some of the other things as we're capable of bringing the information.
And my concern was that we might not get education on the fair study until after it had already started.
I want to assure you, you guys have made it abundantly clear to me that you want to know what's in that before we go put it out. So we're not going to be putting that out to bid. We will not be finalizing the scope until after we've had a chance to talk to you about it. I am very interested in what you think is important in this space, and I wouldn't dream of touching something that potentially sensitive, as I think we've learned this evening, without running it past you first. So please don't worry about that. I like my job. I'd like to keep it. So I'm not going to be doing that.
If I heard you correctly, we wouldn't be seeking any sort of formal approval until next March. So we have roughly 10 months to figure out millage and fair study together. So it's not like we're going to be hearing about the fair study next January. We're going to be hearing about it way before that.
Oh, yeah. No, this calendar here.
Okay.
It's further along than that. I just think sequentially, I think what we're starting to run into is just bandwidth challenges, if I might, and how fast we can bring information to you. And so then we just make sure we put the most important thing at the front of the line, and then the next most important thing. Just work our way down the line.
Any other thoughts, questions? So the reason there isn't a future, Rich, is because we took the future and put it here, because that was last year's work plan we were working on. So the 2026 work plan topics for board education are those two top tiered things. And I'm wondering, are we certain that that's everything? So would someone like to make a motion to approve the work plan and topic of education as printed on page 23 of your packet?
I would like to add the OLTF to our plan of work. It's 2026. We are working on it. I would like that to be reflected. I want credit for my work.
I hear you. Does anyone have a negative to that? Are we all in agreement? Not hearing any negativity. We'll go ahead.
All right.
So
Let the record show.
That's right. And well said. With that addition of the OLTF, are there any other changes that you want to make? If not, would someone like to make a motion to enter this in? And remember that this is also a living document. Just because we're voting tonight saying this is the way we want to move forward, it doesn't mean that changes cannot occur in the future. It just means that we're telling Mr. CEO, as of tonight, we really want you to work on these things for us. So, would anyone like to make a motion to approve this? Jesse, seconded by Cindy. All those in favor, raise your hands. Beautiful, that passed unanimously. Appreciate everyone's pleasure. We did move ownership in each versus task force to the next board meeting, so we monitoring board management delegation 4.0 through 4.4. That is on page 24 of your packet. Not going on in there? Does anyone want to have any, just, is there any discussion on this topic? That this is regarding rewriting policy. Because this is our monitoring report, not the CEO's, no notice to be taken. So we will then go ahead and move on to 5.3, and that is monitoring environmental sustainability policy. And Mr. Carpenter is going to be leading that discussion as this time.
Thank you. So the monitoring report is in your packet. The Finance Committee reviewed this and recommended accepting it as an A. We had 8 board members reply to the survey. Thank you very much. Some excellent questions in there.
Just when it was the service committee.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You know, you take a month off and everything falls apart. It says Finance Committee. Okay. Service does. And
I agree.
Jesse wants to make sure.
Right on, my city was the one that he also caught it.
He does, so
I thought maybe I was missing something.
The gasp I heard when I said finance was not just my hearing. Okay, good. All right, my apologies. The Finance Service Committee reviewed it, recommended an A. 8 board members replied to the survey. As I was saying, there's some good questions in there. I'm happy to try to respond to them if anyone would like to get more information. But at that point, Madam Chair, I turn it over to you and the board for discussion.
Sounds good. As Matt indicated, I believe the service committee suggested A. Is that correct, Mr. Barr? Okay, and does anyone have any comments or things that they'd like to address about the monitoring report itself or about rewriting policy? Seeing no comments, would one like to enter a motion to accept the report? Cindy?
Motion to accept it as A.
One second. Georgia, all those in favor, raise your hands. Thank you, everyone, that passed unanimously. 5.4 is for next month, as indicated both at the beginning of the meeting for the agenda. So now, is there any policy language on 211 that has to discuss or?
I'll mention one thing, and so I did say that I thought there was potential to modify some language. I think that was mostly for me around sort of the emissions and direct emissions versus sort of indirect emissions, trying to clarify some of that. So Matt, I guess maybe this was better addressed just previously, but could you maybe explain sort of the direct reference directly from emitted from the city and or the organization? Just want to get your understanding of that.
Sure, thank you. So as we looked at policy 211 and interpreted it, I think actually 2 years ago, we included as part of the interpretation the word direct in what we were measuring, our direct emissions, as opposed to what you might call indirect emissions. So I'll use a recent example. We were talking about hydrogen fuel cells. We all acknowledged that they had 0 tailpipe emissions, which was a direct emission, but there could be emissions created when you create the hydrogen fuel. If you use natural gas to do the electrolysis to create the hydrogen fuel, you might create indirect emissions. That same, I think, dichotomy holds pretty much for any energy source. If you were an electric vehicle, you know, how is DTE's electricity generated? Arguably, you could take that all the way up to diesel fuel and say, are you accounting for the emissions of the tanker truck that delivered the fuel to the garage, depending on how far down that fuel goes. In writing our interpretation, I interpreted it narrowly to be really more on the direct emissions, so the tailpipe emissions. And I noticed that someone had caught that in the language. That was in part because that challenge in and of itself is pretty large. We are aware that indirect emissions is a subject of concern to many people. We don't discount that in any way. We understand the legitimacy of the concern. For the purpose of this, we wanted to narrow it into something, I'm honest, that we had a better chance of being able to measure. Measuring the indirect sources, how much emissions are created by electricity plants or hydrogen fuel stations, which kind of moved at this point, or other systems, is an additional layer of work beyond just the direct things. So that is how I chose, with my hopefully reasonable interpretation of the phrase carbon neutrality, to be pursued. If the board wishes to clarify its expectations do include direct and indirect emissions, I certainly take that direction. But that is, I think, hopefully the nature of what was raised, and hopefully that answer sort of satisfies the question.
Well, I'd just say then I very much think we need to change the policy if it's the interpretation.
I have a question. How does how do you get your heat? Is it electric heat or is it natural gas?
So for buildings, I believe it is entirely natural gas, and George just of course walked away, but I know the garage natural gas fired boilers for heating. I believe the Blake is also natural gas, and the Ipsy Transit Center is most likely natural gas as well.
I think that falls under scope 1 since the emissions are being produced on site by activities going on in the building. The emissions are coming directly from the building.
Yeah, we agree. If we are consuming an energy, not just in our vehicles, but also to operate the buildings that those vehicles need, absolutely, yes, that is a direct emission source. And if I might, I did notice a comment in the, a couple of comments in the monitoring report survey about facilities and should they not be included. And I wanted to maybe apologize. We adjusted the interpretation. Facilities are still in there. They didn't go anywhere. But last year we had a table that I think was more clear, that we're conducting a study, and as soon as we have direct targets for the facilities and the vehicles, we would be putting those targets into a table. That table didn't make it into this monitoring report for editing reasons. And when it didn't, and we didn't have any evidence of facilities yet to provide, there was no graph showing up about emissions from our facilities, which could very easily have been misinterpreted as we're ignoring facilities. I want to be very clear that it's not the case. The study we had promised about energy consumption at all of our facilities is about 70% completed. I'm looking forward to getting that done. And in retrospect, perhaps I should bring back the table that makes it clear. Data on facilities is coming. Targets for emissions from facilities, including heating, is coming. So I just wanted to note that I think we probably should include that table again. It seemed to be more clear.
Yeah, I think it maybe just left things a little ambiguous that your interpretation excluded facilities. But I remember, actually pointing out, yeah, no, facilities is there on the milestones, like on the road map, just wasn't called out, I think, in the.
Sometimes a visual aid makes it a little more firm than just blocks of text. Yes.
So currently, the service committee is looking on 211. We're going to hear a little bit about it tonight, but had to sadly put it onto next meeting. I'm wondering if the service committee would like to add this to the scope of their work on 211.
I think, yeah, I think it's on there.
And then bring your recommendation to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Questions, comments, or concerns about policy? Thank you, everyone. We will now move on to the TC relocation update, and that is Mr. Forrest.
There were about 2 weeks to go.
The plan has now changed since Grand Chen did a presentation last meeting. We're moving from current location to Fifth and Washington on May 3rd, which is Sunday. There had been, you probably noticed there are a lot of communication coming on, thanks to Jeff's team. And there are also a lot of work behind the scenes. You probably heard the driver's break room, and we're getting ready. And then the old Carmichael Bank building, we actually signed the lease with the Bank of Ann Arbor. George's team is working on it, IT, Dina's team, getting that, the building ready. Actually, George shared some photos today. It looks pretty neat. So after some simple renovation, we have volunteers from some public members. We have staff volunteers. First couple weeks, going to be there to help customers. So the plan, like I said, is ready. We're just working. Lots of collaboration going on. Almost the entire organization working on this. Try to be as ready as possibly can. Hopefully things will go well.
If I might, Forrest, at the LIC meeting, Ken Anderson gave a really nice presentation. And he discussed that there were going to be people boots on the ground the first few weeks. I'm wondering, I remember seeing things online asking for people to be ambassadors.
Yeah.
Did you happen to get any sort of
Yeah, we
traction on that?
we got about a 10. So they will be there first few weeks, and they have a first time slot being assigned, and we're doing some training right now. And then there is also staff members going out there.
Any other questions for Forrest?
With all these nice communications that I've seen, also, getting any kind of reaction from what's been communicated?
Not much.
No, not much. Obviously this is a change, and change sometimes can be frustrating for folks. So we're just acknowledging that this is going to be changing the life and to make it most accommodating and let folks know ahead of time. But we really haven't gotten any social media comments or anything like that about it.
First day.
We're still a ways out, yeah.
Yeah. And then the week before we move, we'll have a table at the BTC, and staff members will just facing more like the communication, informing customers. We're moving next week. I'd say, yeah.
Don't forget.
Exactly. I mean,
Yes, for me. So are we working with agencies like nonprofits at our public schools that rely on, I mean, they're kind of a teenager, they're not paying attention to a lot of things that I'm sending them. So I want to just make sure that the school is informing them and that the nonprofits in the area that serve to help get this information be on social media.
Yeah, we've connected directly with AAPS and YCS, as well as send out newsletter and release and all information to stakeholders as well as on community organizations.
And universities too.
Yes.
Do we have any universities? Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
You had your hand.
I did. If Forrest is finished.
No, yeah.
I want to just say a couple things about this. First of all, I want to commend Forrest and George and all of their teams who have been working on this. This is it. Moving your downtown bus terminal is no small thing. Hey, Detroit Metro Airport, would you mind working out a Willow Run for a couple of it's a big deal, and having done it before, I can say I'm very impressed with the work they have done. Leasing private space, getting curb space for things like the organization, communication on this effort has been exemplary, and they have my accommodations about it. And I'm very happy. I was very happy to get back from a little time off and see the communications starting to go out. The ride guides are stacked up on pallets in the garage. They're going to start putting out on the front page. It's on the buses, these things are happening. Nevertheless, having lived through this, a lot of people pay very little attention to information about their commute until about 15 minutes before they begin their commute. So on May 3rd, everything sort of between now and then is warm up time. May 3rd is when we're gonna find out how much of the community actually heard those messages. It will be less than 100%. I just want to make sure we're managing everyone's expectations here. I think it will do very well based on how much work has gone into it and is continuing to go into it. The communication stuff, I think, really just started. But we'll get to May 3rd, and people will discover their commute is different, and they will go on social media, and they will email, they will phone call, and they will say maybe not entirely pleasant things. I just want us to be prepared and to manage everyone's expectations. Hopefully I'm wrong. And as it goes on, the change will happen. People will be, it'll become normal, and that will die down. We'll get through the construction. Hopefully it goes very well and very quickly, and the DDA and the city are able to get 4th Avenue back into usable state quickly, and we can get the buses back on 4th and then get back into the Lake Transit Center. We will keep you up to date as we go along, but I just want to make sure, the May board meeting, we may hear feelings about this. And I have heard a little bit already. Some of our staff made a presentation to the Council on Disability
Yes, sir.
yesterday, Ann Arbor Council. And one of the members there, he didn't say it quite directly, so is our terminal being moved because of affordable housing development? And our staff, I think, did a very good job of kind of making sure that that was seen in the best possible light. But this gentleman made that connection on his own very fast. And at the end of the day, that is a big chunk of what's going on. We'll get a better 4th Avenue back, and it'll be a whole lot better. But that's not what 4th Avenue is being. So we should prepare not only for that, but also our partners having questions about how things are going. So, as this is our last board meeting, I just wanted to make sure we reiterate all these things to you. But they've done a fabulous job, and I think it's going to go about as well as it possibly.
With the YTC, I know that folks sometimes they come in for work and they have to take a different bus. Obviously, when they get into town, they're going to see that the lake isn't there. How have we been doing in keeping the YTC people coming from Ypsilanti Township in the loop as well? Because I think it's going to have a greater impact on people who have to travel far.
Yeah, we have flyers posted at both transit centers currently. We will be doing more leading up to, they should be going up soon. The PSAs have already started on all the buses, informing folks about the closure. We've done a banner ad in the transit app for those who use that, and then paid advertising, MLive, Google, I think we've done some paid social media advertising as well. So we've really done our best to blanket everything. As far as on the ground, I think that will mainly be focused at the BTC area, just as, that's kind of home base, but we're doing our best to cover all bases.
I appreciate that. I just was, when I'm thinking about people who may not know that their commute is changing, I absolutely think it's laying in the township. Yes, Rich?
From an OLTF scanning points, I assume if like city council, the mayor, and councilman notified.
City of Ann Arbor, we're presenting on Monday. That and all the elected officials are included in our newsletter that does go out. So,
is that just Ann Arbor, or is that also?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is there something that we can do as board members to help relay this message?
Share it on social media, or repeat, email, anything you can do. We're posting it about every 4 or 5 days right now, and that will amplify as we get closer to it.
you've mentioned at previous board meetings in particular, estimated timing on this. Of course, nobody knows what it will really turn out to be, other than it'll probably be longer than is anticipated. How do you feel now about what is supposed to be the timing compared with your confidence level a few months ago? Has it gotten better or worse in terms of, you think everything that's being done by the DDA and the city is?
It's still according to their schedule right now, so nothing has changed. But again, construction. Look at the weather now, so if we get this like a whole summer, my God. Yeah, hasn't heard any, issues, or it's still pretty much on schedule.
If I might, Forrest, remind me, I think we decided to move before construction actually commences.
Yep.
In line with how we do our regular bids and schedule changes. This is the moment of time for that. So do one big change rather than a bunch of small changes.
Yeah, actually, we asked them to postpone their construction timeline because to align the change with our bid. So the May 3rd is normally our bid time. So we want to use the right guide, all this communication, and then have a new schedule. So yeah, that's kind of how the timeline being set up.
One other aspect of this that we are starting to communicate heavily is that sales will stop at the BTC the week before. That's April 24th, to allow time for the equipment to be moved to the temporary location at America. So again, it's just another aspect that we are starting to communicate on top of this, but making you all aware of that as well.
Is there a way, Jeff, that you could maybe in an email to the board share the different links to these efforts? Because I'm just now hearing about needing that 1 week changeover, which makes absolute sense, right? We've got to get over there. But we want to make sure that word gets out. If you could maybe send the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok stuff, and then we could then share it more directly instead of having to sort through it on our own social media.
Or if there's a templated like message.
It's in a PR kit, yes.
Yeah.
However you feel fit to do that.
Yep, absolutely.
I also was just thinking about the timing. Do we know that that's the same weekend as graduation?
It is. Yep, it is.
No, it's gonna add a whole bunch of new people and people moving out.
Any other questions or comments regarding the relocation? Thank you so much, Forrest, and everyone for your input. Next, we will move on to legislative updates. That's Mr. Jeff Piper.
Great. Before I get into some legislative updates, I just want to point out, I think with all of you, we've included these Know Your Rights cards. They're printed both English and Spanish. Those are hot off the press and will be distributed at our transit centers, particularly relating to instructions or informing individuals of their rights should they be approached by ICE agents or one person. So those are there and will be distributed to our transit center shortly. I'm actually going to start with a state update today because we do have some movement starting related to budgets. I'm hopeful that the state budget is a little bit more on time this year than last year. But what we're seeing thus far is actually been really positive. You'll remember I reported, I think it was back in last month's meeting, that Governor Whitmer got her recommendation for budget. Our LBO, or local bus operating funding, was at $271 million last year, and that was the largest increase that we had seen in quite some time. Her recommendation for this year is to move LBO up to $315 million. And then 2 days ago, the Senate released their version of the budget, and we're also at $315 million. We are expecting the House to release their budget next week. Indications say that they will be somewhere between $315 million and $330 million. So we are seeing a good increased chunk to LBO. None of this matters until May 15th, where we get the correct or the consensus revenue estimate conference. We will actually see how much money we have to work with. But it is really positive to see Governor Whitmer and then both chambers already agreeing to at least a higher number right now. So we will continue to monitor that as it progresses. We're in Lansing, I think it was last month, speaking to our elected officials, just hammering again the need for increased public transit funding and educating them on the source of that. Moving over to the federal side, we just returned, myself, Gina, Pravina, and Georgia on Tuesday evening from the AFTA Legislative Conference. Overall, a really good conference. We met with Senator Peters, Senator Slotkin, Representative Dingle, and Representative Barrett's office. Had really productive meetings with everyone. A lot of thank yous for them, given their previous support, whether CDS or funding for the YTC. It was nice to be able to provide them all with an update, particularly with the YTC. I think a lot of times elected officials are presented ideas for funding and that never come to fruition, and we're able to provide tangible updates to them about something that is happening. So they were really glad to hear that. Again, we're there educating them on the need for transit funding, and then presenting some ideas as we head into service reauthorization. Timeline of that is still TBD, but presenting some ideas, and really just a round of thank yous for the offices for all that they've done and continuing to make our presence known in DC. Wanda, see, Kathleen, Karina, and Georgia.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to go. It was a great experience. I learned a lot at the conference of how other agencies operate and what it takes for there are agencies, bigger places, and we are doing some really amazing work. I also want to commend Jeff and Sheena for their, we already know they're extraordinary, but being in front of those elected officials and their staff and being able to eloquently ask we give the information. It was just on the fly. It was really impressive how well you spoke, how well you prepared us, and then prepared for those meetings, and then you had to navigate each audience that you were in front of. So I just want to commend you and make sure your boss and everybody in here knows how well you guys did. So thank you.
Yeah, same for me. I'll echo what Karina said. Thank you for the opportunity. It was very insightful. It's very informative, and I thought that Jeff and Dina did a very good job representing the AATA. And from talking with the folks there, we are very well respected, and I'm very proud to be a part of all of that. Thank you.
Did have one note on the state side I forgot. We're starting to see more information on the Infrastructure Projects Authority Fund. That's the $65 million annual fund geared towards transformational projects. We are starting to see more of that come out, and potential call for projects later this spring. So I know internally we are meeting and discussing that for potential opportunities.
Any questions? Jesse?
Really glad to see these coming out. Is there any plan to put this information on the buses themselves? There's a lot of folks who don't interact with the transit centers. I mean, I'm particularly myself aware of an immigrant community that works in the restaurants on South University and then gets off the bus around Gulfside. So they will not see these. So are there any plans?
I don't think we had any initially, but I appreciate the feedback and can take that back internally. Definitely see where we're coming from.
All right, thank you.
Prepared by TheRide, or they from an organization?
I think we stole the language from an organization.
Borrowed.
Borrowed, yes, they're borrowed. We made sure the translation was correct up.
Did you translate?
No, I did
not.
Any other questions for Mr. Pfeiffer? Yeah.
Were any of the other local agencies involved in the writing of these that had expressed interest, like Mari or
of the parts?
Yeah.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
If I might, our legal counsel floated this idea as an option several months ago, and specifically sort of nudged us towards the ACLU and other lawyered up organizations who have legal staff who could write these sorts of things, and that we could simply borrow, use with permission, that language. So this is something we know many of them have asked us for. We felt speed was maybe a better part of valor.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Moving on, we have the CEO report. That's Mr. Carpenter.
First of all, thank you for being a Georgia. Yes, they are exceptional. Thank you for pointing that out. Only one thing to add to the CEO report, unless I'm informed otherwise, sometime soon, I think we came through this week's storm unscathed. New roof held up. I got to the building, it's like, please let it still be. So it's insured, but still, no, I want those cranes back. We seem to have come through operationally and fixed. The whole fleet was, asleep at home for the time, and the winds did not come in our immediate area, so we seem to be okay. Obviously, services were a mess the following morning. I believe that the next day, today, they were back to normal. But like many of you, I drove around town, and it's like, oh, I'll go this way. Nope, there's a tree. I'll go the other way. Nope, there's power line. And it was just sort of like zigzagging your way across everywhere that day. So as far as we're aware, I think we've seen the same news reports, and we have some things have been damaged. It's not affecting our service per se. So just wanted to add that to the report, and happy to answer the question.
Any questions for Mr. Carpenter? Seeing none, thank you so much. That moves us on to action item recap. Jeff, you got a novel over here.
I have noted for the May board meeting, we deferred the OLTF committee or task force and the environmental sustainability executive limitation or N. We accepted the monitoring report as A for environmental sustainability, and I have a note that I will update the online packet to change that the service committee recommended that and not finance. So apologies for that error. And I did want clarification. It was brief and I didn't quite get it down. Is the service committee going to be reviewing language in policy 211? So we're gonna.
Yeah, because we've already got the executive limitations or ends discussion, so
Okay.
it's just added into that discussion.
Okay, that was what I thought, so I'll add that. And then Jeff is going to put together a PR kit to send out to board members.
Do we miss anything more? All right, let's go ahead and move on. Topics for next meeting, we'll have it's budget season, budget intro, governance process policies 3.5 through 3.9. And we'll be back in Ann Arbor on May 21st from 8 p.m. to hopefully 8:30 p.m. And now we will move on to public comment. There is someone behind us. I will remind you that we're really glad that you're here. We welcome you. We will listen respectfully to your concerns without comment. Matters of operational concern will be referred to our CEO for follow-up, and we'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to first appreciate how much you are all calling out each other and appreciating each other. So we'll witness that. My name is Amy Bacon. I live in Ann Arbor. I'm a musician. I'm a single mom. I also work in advocacy work. And I just in the last 6 months or so kind of came into the medium income rate here in Ann Arbor. And I know that you are considering free bus fare. And I'm guessing you've heard a lot about that. Just want to say that I firmly believe that free bus fare would just be an incredible thing, not only from an affordability perspective, as we all know that this crisis is happening. Our teachers in Ann Arbor make anywhere from around $30,000 below the median income, and $20,000 to $30,000 more than or less than it takes to actually afford life. But on top of that, you've heard probably a lot about affordability and the economic case for it. I spent 18 years in the Bay Area where there's a vibrant public transit system that is adopted and used by people all around the Bay Area. And I just want to say that when public transit is widely used, it brings people together. It brings people across generations, across cultures, into shared spaces. And at a time where we are increasingly isolated and sort of brought apart from each other by the world we're living in, I think that thinking about buses as a public space is really valuable for helping keep our communities knit together. And so I just wanted to make the vibrant community case for free bus fare.
Thank you. Deb, is there anyone online? We don't have anybody online. Okay, going once. Next is, we will be going into closed session. We need to take a roll call vote to go into this closed session pursuant to 8C of the Open Meetings Act. This closed session is for strategy connected with the negotiation of collective bargaining agreement. We're going to vote now. Yes or no? Mr. Mike Alame?
Yes.
Mr. Sneaker?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mr. Lindgren?
Yes.
Mr. Justin Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Maria Ramos Wong?
Yes.
Mr. Lindgren?
Yes.
And I myself am a yes. Is anybody this time? If you want, might take a quick little bio before we go into
walk out the door and.
No, I was like timing it.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
I was trying. Felt very energized.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, my phone's holding it.
No, I.
Oh.
I mean, I heard that.
That's right. Oh, the chocolate too. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
There's so much more. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 'Cause it's gonna keep this thing forever.
Oh.
So that's why I was like, oh, this looks super pretty. It's a lot bigger.
I know.
Yeah.
So we have Andy down.
Well, yeah, I was like, I had a feeling that folded was that.
But it is so funny that you're white.
Okay, good.
Are we all
Go
back?
back to the-
Are all the board members in here? Okay, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and start, the tape again. Jeff, yes, sir. Oh, hi, everybody, sorry about that. All right, so we're gonna vote to move out of closed session. Mr. Mike Allen, Mr. Oh, Chris is not here. Mr. Cindy Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Rich Shang?
Yes.
Ms. Julie Grant had to leave for an emergency. Mr. Jesse Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Rufina Ramaswamy?
Yes.
Mrs. Georgia Valentine? Yes. And I myself am also a yes. Thank you, everyone, for that. And there's nothing else except for adjournment. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Moved by Rich, seconded by Simi. All those in favor, raise your hands. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Jack, right?
Oh, no.
Heard you did.